Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Hello, and welcome back to Creative Brews. I'm so glad you're here. So, today's episode is kind of long overdue, and I do apologize. Life, business, life period has been super busy. So, we're going to go ahead and jump right on in. So yes, I have my little outline here of everything I want to talk about and touch on. So today's episode, I actually got the idea from while I've been networking. So while I've been networking, I've noticed that usually what I'll do is introduce myself, and it's something along the lines of, hey, my name's Kristen. I'm the founder of KBCreativeNC. We offer mindful creative solutions for businesses. I think because then sometimes the response is, the person will go next, or maybe they go first and then I go. And then they're like, oh, like marketing. And I used to kind of be like, oh, sorta, not really. And then I would explain what I meant without it being too wordy, because while you're networking, you're not trying to, at least me, I'm not trying to, number one, sell you. I'm also not trying to compete with people, which I feel like a lot of people while they're networking and stuff like that, kind of, I don't know, not everybody, but some people just kind of get the wrong idea of the whole purpose of why you're there. Like, at the end of the day, we're all here to not only share our businesses, which can be sort of emotional for some people, and share what we do and what we love and what excites us. But I'm more so, yes, at the end of the day, I am trying to get clients, and trying to work and trying to create an income for my family. At the end of the day, I think that's what we're all trying to do. Business owner to business owner. But what I quickly realized is that the word design, obviously you hear that, but not a lot of people click in their mind like, oh yeah, duh. Because I always get, oh, like marketing. And I now stop and say politely, I am not a marketing agency. I am a design agency. So while, yes, I do design and craft your marketing visual pieces, I am not a marketing agency. And that's when they're like, okay, or they get it. So, and sometimes I don't have to go into this whole thing about what design is, why it differs from marketing and design are two completely different things. If you're a marketer, you completely know what I mean. If you're a marketing agency, you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm not saying that marketing agencies do not do design. I am not in the business of marketing your business. I'm in the business of helping you show up with clarity, confidence, and that way, because what people don't understand is that when you have a clear message, when you have, forget a nice aesthetic logo, but when you have clean branding and when you have clean, I guess, I don't know if clean is a good word to say, but I guess when you have branding that makes sense and clearly communicates who you are, why you're in the business that you're in, etc., I feel like that turns into marketing without marketing. If you have clear branding, a clear message, you're confident but not overly confident, like not egotistical, guess what? I'm not saying that you don't have to do marketing, but it kind of speaks for itself. And that's what I'm in the business of. Like I said, you don't have to spend all this money on marketing. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right on into it because my laptop is actually about to die. I was working, doing some work. So yes, just since I'm talking about design, to touch on the business side of things, I have been extremely busy on some different things. Maybe I'll share about it, more one day. But anyways, yes, I've been very busy as far as I just did a whole big website rebuild, refresh, whatever you want to call it. And it's been amazing. It really, I think, truly reflects what my business is, why I'm in the business that I'm in, what problem does. So there again, if your website, you might have a website and that's great. It's great to have a website. But if your website was like my old one, which my old website, there was not really anything wrong with it per se. It's just when I sat down to look at it from a potential client's point of view, it just didn't do it for me. So if you're a freelancer, I feel like my old website was more of like, hey, I'm a freelancer, here's my services, this is what we do. It still conveyed the message and it still got a lot of traffic. But at the end of the day, it didn't tell the story of my business without it being too much. It didn't really, it conveyed the problem that I solved, but that's really about it. It looked great. I liked it. That's about it. If your website, number one, if you just pick a template and then you kind of customize it a little, I get it. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Even like in the brand identity, everybody just gets locked in on why I need a logo. Yeah, but you need much more than just a logo, especially if you plan on taking your business serious. So you want to show up, with clarity. You want to show up confidently, but not egotistical. You want people to know that you're taking your business very seriously. And what is the first thing people see when they look your business up? A lot of times it's someone's website, or I know a lot of people get really like their blinders on social media because a lot of people actually do get clients from social media. Anyways, I don't know. I plan on talking more about all these things, but today's episode, we're just going to pinpoint design and what design actually means. In my brain, design at the most simplest terms is design is intentional problem solving. Design is the process of intentionally creating something to serve a purpose. So it is the foundation of everybody's business, whether you believe that or not. Basically, design involves everything that you could really possibly think about. Some things I wrote down is it involves obviously the people, whether that be the owner, the business owner, the potential client, etc. Purpose, problems, communication, function, form, decisions, systems, experience, context, emotion, and really, like, we could keep going on here. But graphic design is using visual communication to solve problems and communicate ideas. So, realistically, depending on your business, your logo could be the answer to everyone's whatever problem that you solve, right? That could be one thing. Or, I find a lot of people's logos, there's really like sometimes a lot of symbolism behind them. Anyways, what design is not is decorating. It is not something that you can just sit down in Canva and come up with a logo and be like, there, I got it. I don't need a designer. And a lot of people, think of it like that. And yeah, it's just crazy to think about. I do get asked about, oh, well, I can just do this in Canva, or I can just get AI to craft a logo. Like, why do I need a designer? So, and realistically, what people do not think about is when you do make your logo in Canva or whatever the case is, yeah, you do have the ability to export out a PDF. And I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. And I know everybody has to start somewhere, obviously, right? But when you come to a point to where you're like, okay, this logo is cool, is a part of my story, you don't necessarily have to get rid of it. But when you go, and let's say you want to wrap a car, or let's say you want to do a billboard, or you're wanting to get some marketing samples printed out because you're going to a trade show. I can't tell you, and even on people's websites, I've seen other business owners' websites where they have, whether it's their logo or photos or whatever the case is, and it's blurry as hell. Like, I'm not saying like you need to have the best of the best on your website. Everything needs to be amazing because, again, you do have to start somewhere. However, you should not, if you've been in business for 20 years, you should not, as I hit the mic, have blurry ass images on your website. Your logo should not be blurry. And realistically, if you've been in business for 20 years, even 10 years, newsflash, your logo should be clear, concise, cohesive. It should make sense. Your client should not have to guess once they land on your website or once they land on your social media. They shouldn't have to guess what you're in the business of or why your logo looks horrible. Because quite frankly, if you do everything with AI, if you do everything with Canva, good luck. That's all I have to say. Because when it does come to time to get shirts made, or maybe you need to wrap a car, or maybe, whatever the case is, that little PDF that you export out of Canva that's at maybe 175 pixels, maybe it's at 200 DPI, that's horrible. In my background, if something was 300 dots per inch, That's terrible. And in the normal industry, in the normal printing industry, that's sort of normal, but it's not high res by any means. So I was dealing with files that were at like 3,000, 4,000 DPI, So the difference between decorating something and designing something is so vastly different. Decoration asks, how can I make this look nice? Which is what you're doing when you choose to do your logo in Canva. I'm sorry if some of this stuff sounds harsh, but you guys, y'all have to know the real. Like, I'm a realist at the end of the day. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not in the business to be somebody's friend. I'm in the business to tell you what you need, why you need, and all of those things, because I'm not in the business to decorate something or make something look nice or, and everybody should have a brand identity, because what you're not thinking about whenever you choose to do your logo in Canva is, okay, well, what's your color palette? How big can the logo realistically go? What's the smallest realistically that your logo can go? These are the guidelines that you have to think about in order to show up with confidence, with clarity. And if your client is guessing, you've already lost them. So your website might look nice and everything, but if it's not telling a story that is concise, clear, cohesive, the 3 C's, then you've already lost your potential client. If your website is not accessibility ready as well as your logo, you've already lost a handful of your clients, if not more. So it's very serious whenever you think about it. So for me, design, this is what design is asking. What does this need to accomplish? Who needs to understand? And how can the visual communication help accomplish that? So again, a beautiful design that does not communicate anything is not effective. It's not. People might look at it and be like, oh, wow, this is it looks so pretty. And then move on. A lot of people, when they land on your website, I would say from 2 to maybe 5. 5 seconds is kind of like generous. If someone lands on your website and it doesn't immediately say what your business is or whatever the case is, and you just have a big old fat logo that you created in Canva that is pixelized and blurry, no. Do you think, I will ask a question. Do you guys think that a logo, whether it be on your website, social media, whatever the case is, if it is blurry, do you think someone thinks of you as a professional? These are the things that you have to go through in your brain in order to, show up. Everybody wants to show up. They want to feel great and, all the things. So, I thought up of this, and I don't know if anybody has thought of this, but pretty is a possibility of design, yes. But it is not the purpose of design. So, we're going to move on. What does a designer actually do? Because a lot of people seem to think that it's client, designer, and then pretty thing arrives, right? No. So, I have recently sat down, like I said, and completely redid my whole website. And the way that I structure and think about things. So, what a designer actually does or should do, I'll put it like that. What I do is I listen, understand, research, strategize, concept, design, refine, and deliver. Those are my 8, I believe that's 8, things that I do. So you're going to listen. What does the client actually need? Understand, what is the problem we're solving? Research, who are we communicating to or with or even for, what already exists? What is happening within the industry? I feel like if you're not really like asking questions along the way, then I just really don't think the end product is going to be great or perform well. So strategize is, what should this communicate? What action or feeling are we trying to create? And concept, now we start. So everybody's heard of a concept design. This is where you go to the drawing board, whether that be, it could look like anything for really anyone. Everybody has a different workflow. So, and then it's design. So you notice design is not the very first thing that you should be doing when you're meeting with a client. If your client thinks that you can just poop out a design right there on the spot, this is why you got to be able to educate people, because people know what they know. People don't know what they don't know. Like if someone never learned something, then they didn't learn it. So you have to be able to educate people in a, obviously not in a mean way. And then you're going to design. So that means typography, color, imagery, composition, hierarchy, if I could speak. Hierarchy, there we go, etc. Refine. So refine, I usually try to kind of do like maybe a couple rounds. Anything after that, that's kind of extensive. And if you're going to be refining that much, you might as well go back to concept, okay? So refine, does it actually work? Sometimes you have to test things out. People don't like to hear that because they want it now. And unfortunately, sometimes that is what you have to do if you're wanting to show up and be confident and all that other stuff. So deliver, now it becomes something the client can use. And you want to make sure, which is why you refine. But you want to make sure that it performs, that it works, that it clicks in people's brains. Oh, this is what this person does. So design is not just a final file. It's not the first thing you do. I've got the fundamentals, and then we're going to go over psychology, because a lot of people don't know that psychology is in everything. It's in when you build your website. It's design. It's, it's not just the brain, I guess you could say. Like, it's not just here, so. Okay, so the fundamentals, I have the very first one. We're going to just introduce the classic principles here. So when you take any kind of design class, they will take you through all of these things. So you're welcome. You're getting like free knowledge. So typography. So typography, I'll back up a little, is basically layman's terms is the font that you use, yes. But to go a step further, typography has anatomy. I know, it's crazy. I've talked about it before, I think in season 1 of Creative Brews. So, how type communicates personality, hierarchy, readability, legibility is one. I don't have that on my list, but I just thought about it. Tone, and information. That is the reason why a lot of the signage that you all see on the roads, whether it be a road sign, stop sign, you know, take a left here or whatever the case is, the signs on the highway, they're most likely all Helvetica. If you have not watched the Helvetica documentary, you definitely should. It's very readable. It's a very readable font. It's been, I think it was made in the 60s, I want to say. Maybe 70s. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. Okay, moving on. Color. So colors they make a lot of influence on your design and what you're designing. So the colors you pick, the colors of your brand, be careful. Colors do have meaning attached to them. They're not just colors. So they can influence attention, emotion, perception, associations, again, hierarchy, accessibility, brand recognition. If I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone who's probably made their logo in Canva. Not only was it different on their website, but it was different in their email and it was different on social media. That is not brand recognition. Do you think someone's going to be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm at the, Busy Bees or whatever the case is. Like, if your colors are all over the place, if your logos are not cohesive, clear, concise, all these things, people are not going to recognize that they even met that business. You know what I mean? Like, is that crazy? Like, so you all can picture in your brain McDonald's, Walmart, all these places, because what do they have? They have colors that you recognize. If you see a golden M, you're like, oh my God, that's probably a McDonald's. Let's pull over, like, yes. So 9 times out of 10, your logo has what? A brand mark. And it's paired with, like McDonald's, it's the M with McDonald's. Composition, we kind of just already talked about that, but it's where things are placed and how the eye moves through the design, much like your website. Hierarchy, what do you notice first, second, third, so on? This is huge. And see, these are things that if you're a busy business owner, you're not going to sit down. I mean, you might, but good luck, because you got so much other things that you could be doing. Besides worrying about this, just call me. Just go to my website right now. You can book a discovery call with me. These are the things that I will take care of for you. So that way you can just communicate your vision, what you're looking to do, why you're looking to do, all these things. And yes, I will chime in and add to it. It's not just a one-way street conversation. But these are the things that I take care of for you, which is why if you do not have a designer in your back pocket, what are you doing? Because when you're sitting down at Canva or on Canva and you're like, oh, I'm trying to make this work, or I'm trying to hurry up and do something, let me just go to AI, and then AI poops out something that looks like everybody else. That's not going to perform. It's not. And I'm not trying to make this episode feel like an attack on people. It's not. It's just people really need to hear things and make connections, connect the dot, and really realize that, or connect the dots, and realize like these are the things that you should be thinking about. And if you're a busy business owner, you're going to try your best to think about some of these things. Realistically, no. You just need it and you need it now. You don't really care why. Some people do, some people don't. Contrast, difference creates distinction. Size, weight, color, spacing, shape, texture, etc. Alignment, why things feel organized or chaotic. There might be some reasons why something feels or looks chaotic. Proximity, what appears visually connected. Repetition, how consistency, hear that, consistency, creates recognition and cohesion. If you need to, pause, let that sink in, go right ahead. Balance, how visual weight is distributed. I don't know why I said it like that. Distributed? I don't know, it sounds wrong. White space. Sometimes some people feel like they have to fill up everything, and no, white space is good. And it really does emphasize, it's not. I feel like some people look at white space and they think it's empty space. But no, like white space is good. It gives your design, logo, website, whatever it is, breathing room. People can digest. So let's go ahead and jump right on into psychology because I've been talking for quite a while. Design is deeply connected to psychology, whether you believe that or not. I have talked to some designers, they believe that, some don't. So we are designing for people. I don't know if y'all know that or not. I thought that would be funny to say. I'm sorry. Anyways, we're not designing for computers. We're not designing for Canva, not algorithms, but people. Who's going to be seeing your brand identity? Who's going to be seeing your website? Yeah, I know algorithm does see your website. Hopefully, as long as you've crafted it, and designed it well. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody sitting down and experiencing your website. That's also another big one, is that your website should not just be there to not only like tell the story, but people should be able to experience a little bit. It should be a little fun, to some degree. We'll go over that more. So I'm just going to introduce some concepts here and some ways that psychology do play a big part. Attention. What does the brain notice first? This is why psychology is a part of design as well. Perception. How does the brain interpret what it's seeing? Pattern recognition. Why does consistency help us recognize brands? Cognitive load. How much information can someone reasonably process at once? And this word I'm going to try to say without butchering it, but familiarity. Why do familiar visual patterns feel easier to understand? Emotion. Why can imagery, color, typography, composition make something feel trustworthy, playful, serious, luxurious, approachable, etc.? These are the psychology behind, all of this. It's also decision making. How does design help someone understand what it is? who it is, what problem you solve. Is this for me? What am I supposed to do next? Because that's where good design will communicate that clearly, in a way that someone doesn't feel overloaded and, I don't know what to do, like, or it's unclear. I can't really tell what they're doing or what they're in the business of, all those things. And at the end of the day, design is another form of communication. It's visual communication, in of itself. That's exactly what it is. Every design is communicating something, even when you don't know it, even when you don't really intend for something to communicate for you, that, even like a book cover, something like that, or maybe you just quickly made something and people are taking it in a negative way and you're like, whoa, like that was not my intention. These are, all valid things. I wrote down a cluttered website communicates something. Everything communicates something, whether it's good, bad, ugly. Even like photos that you take that you share online, that communicates something to someone, to people, period. A difficult to read menu communicates something. A polished brand, a confusing flyer, a beautifully organized presentation, a consistent brand. These are all communicating something. Your audience is interpreting your design, whether you intend them to or not. The colors you choose, like, these are all things, Why do you think a lot of fast food restaurants use red or use orange or yellow? These psychology people, it's a true thing. Look it up. Do your own research, as I say in a lot of these episodes. I didn't really realize like how long I'd be talking, and let me tell y'all, I've already been talking for like 40 minutes. So we're gonna have to like hurry this along. It's just because I'm pretty passionate about this. So yeah, I didn't realize I wrote down all these things. Wow. Anyways, so the difference between it looks good and it works. Do you like it? Does it work? Those things. It's 5 things, 5 questions, which is it clear? Can I understand what this is? Is it appropriate? Does it fit the business, audience, and context? Is it accessible? Can people actually read, navigate, and understand it? Is it memorable? Does anything distinguish it from everything else? Does it accomplish its purpose? So this could be, does it help the business achieve what it needs to achieve? This word design can be implemented with whether you're sitting down to design a website, whether you're sitting down to do brand identity, brand guidelines, etc. So the difference, I definitely wanted to touch on this, between design and marketing. So we're going to kind of circle back around here. Design or marketing, so they do work together, obviously. But it's almost like you can't have one without the other. You know what I mean? So in some ways, but they're definitely not the same thing. Marketing is concerned with reaching people, positioning, promotion, campaigns, messaging, customer relationships, generating awareness/action, and design can help visually communicate and support those efforts, which is a lot of times why people, go to say, oh, like marketing. Marketing says We need to promote this new service. Design says, how should we visually communicate that service so the right people understand it, recognize it, and know what to do next? Of course, I've been asked about AI and all this stuff, and oh, are you worried? And blah, 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 all the questions. And look, AI at the end of the day can generate something that resembles design or looks like design, but I'm going to put it like this. If you want to look like everybody else, if you want to do what everybody else is doing, because I can't tell you how many marketing like campaigns that I've seen, especially local businesses, and I'm not downing anybody, I'm not bashing anybody. Again, everybody has to start somewhere, but you can painfully tell who uses AI and who doesn't. Okay? It's like you wrote on your forehead, I use AI for everything. I've seen some people do use AI for everything. With all that being said, if you are looking to stand out in the crowd, which you should definitely, because people don't connect with AI. I've heard a lot of people, complain that their marketing didn't perform well. While AI can, again, make something that looks like a design, it's not. Number one, you can't take that and then go get it printed. You can try. But if you're looking to get something professionally printed, I think if a designer received art files, and then saw that it's just an image, okay. So what it communicates without communicating is that you don't take yourself seriously. You don't take your business serious. You're trying to cut corners, and like I keep saying, every business has to start somewhere. I get that. But there should come a time where cutting corners costs you more than not cutting corners. Do you see what I'm saying? So for me, when you partner with a designer, when you partner with my business, I'll put it like that, you get all of these things. And I don't know, it's just, I think it's very important because you're, not only providing a service for business owners, but you're also solving their problems. You're solving their communication problems, and, the list goes on. And AI stuff, again, I get it, but I've seen a few like marketing pieces and they all look alike. They all look alike. They're all different businesses. They all look alike. And what all of them had in common is that they did not have a logo. They didn't have a brand identity. The colors were all over the place. They all used the same font, so, and also too, you can tell when people use AI because AI is now starting to put like a pattern in people's hair. Anyways, so tool can generate an output. A designer has to understand why the output should exist in the first place. So I think that's a good thing to say. And I think this is okay. We're almost finished here. Here's the major thing, and I think I wanted to really talk about this because why should a business owner care? I just, do it in Canva. I get AI to help me out, here and there. It's been working. Why should I care? Well, let me tell you. Here is the lesson, I guess you could say. When your design choices, when your design period is all over the place, it affects your business. in a way that you maybe didn't think about. You're just trying to get your, business out there. You're just trying to move forward and, I'll do it later. Everybody says that. I'll do it later, and later never comes. It's been 5-10 years and you still have that logo that you had AI create, and you've even had some brochures printed with it, and it looks not that great. Design influences all these things that I'm about to list off. It is the first impressions, credibility, trust, clarity, brand recognition, customer experience, accessibility, communication, perceived value. I guess what I'll kind of back up a little. What I'm not saying is that you don't have to be, or what I am saying is that you don't have to become a designer. As a business owner, you should not, unless you really want to, but see, that kind of takes away from your focus. Because one thing that I've learned as a business owner is if your focus is all over the place, you're not going to be able to work on your business. You're not going to be able to get really ahead or forward or move forward, have some kind of momentum if you're always doing all these odds and end jobs. So, okay. So, my thing is that I always say that everybody should have a designer in their back pocket. That is my sort of motto, I guess you could say, for my business, is that when you partner with me, because you're not hiring me, yes, I do one-off projects. I've been asked about that. But I am in the business of becoming a partner of your business, whatever that business is. I'm not just here to, okay, well, there you go. Bye. Good luck. And I'm also not here to hold your hand. So there's that. It's a partnership. So I say that because a thoughtful designer can become someone who helps you ask, well, what are we trying to communicate? What are we communicating with? What does this need to accomplish? Why should, all these things, should this look, feel, and function? Does this fit within everything else we're doing? Does it make sense? All these things. All of those things that I just said are a partnership. Sure, you can go and deal with a design agency. You can deal with a marketing agency. All those things are great. I'm not saying to not do that. However, when you have a designer in your back pocket, you have someone that you can, per se, text, call, and be like, hey, I just got this idea. Or, hey, does this make sense? All these things. So here's some takeaways, and then I think we're probably going to go ahead and end it because this episode is actually longer than I planned for it to be. So some takeaways are for design basics. These takeaways are: design is intentional, is communication, is problem solving, it's about people, is psychology, and design is so much more than just aesthetics. It's so much more than just a vibe. So, the next time someone tells you they hired a designer, I hope you think about more than the pretty thing they made. Because the thing you see is only the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more things that go into the design, the end product that you see. I'll say it like that. The end product that you see then. I believe that's everything. I'm trying to make sure, kind of looking through this. I do have some ideas for kind of like making this sort of a series in some sort of way. I'm hoping to not make every one of them this long. I've really tried to stay away from making my episodes too long because I want them to be digestible, not so information is great, but and again, if you have to watch my episodes multiple times, go right ahead. If you have questions, DM me, leave a comment below. So yeah, and on the flip side, for mindset things, I do have a book out. It's called The Daily Divine, a book of soulful truths and everyday wisdom. It's a physical ebook. I narrated it. It is more so like mindset, self help, self educational, I guess you could say. So definitely self improvement for sure. And it's a book that meets you where you're at any stage of life. So, with all that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the episode today. I enjoyed, as you can tell, I got very excited. I tried to bring the energy some too, so yeah. With all that being said, I hope to, of course, see you all soon in the next episode. Anyways, with all that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please follow, like, share, all the things, especially please share this to people that might not know, what we're talking about. Maybe they're a business owner and maybe they would benefit from learning. So, yes, I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.